Welcome to the Edible Valley Podcast, episode 202.
On this episode, we're learning about Cheffanie. Do you ever wonder where your food comes from? That's what got us started on this adventure.
In each episode, we ask experts to weigh in on the food topics that matter to you, from growers to producers to chefs.
And I challenge John, Darren and you to learn more about your food and the stories behind it. From our hub on Vancouver Island in the beautiful Comox Valley, join us as we explore our Edible Valley.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us today on the Edible Valley Podcast. I've got Cheffanie to my one side, Chef John to the other side, and I'm Darren Howlett. Let's get into it.
Yes, we're going to learn about Cheffanie.
Sure.
Today. Stephanie, so excited to have you here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was great. Well, we haven't actually had the opportunity to have a chef in with us for a while.
Okay,
So
good.
Yeah, this got John excited.
Yes.
He's been dying to have a chef on the show for a while.
I just love talking to other cooks and people who,
It's just part of who we are.
That's
our
it.
life. We talk about food.
Yeah.
We want to talk a little bit about your business. So
Mm-hmm.
you offer event services for all different sizes, as well as you have a food cart that you've got going.
That's correct.
And you're also working on weekly to-go meals as well.
Yeah. So on that last part, the weekly meals to go, that's really kind of like just kind of my last venture here. Like obviously with COVID and the way things have been going and the way that people are switching to, maybe not eating out so much. I thought that this would be a good, niche, or it's not so much a niche. I mean, there's other people doing it in the valley.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I just felt like the need was there. And this is really something that I'm like kind of moving towards a little bit more. Not just because there's a demand, but also because that's what I feel like I see a fit for my life and for my lifestyle. So I do events. That is correct. That being said, I don't have the infrastructure to do your 200 plus wedding and that kind of stuff. I want to remain small. I mean, I want to grow as a business. Obviously, that's the goal.
Of course.
But I don't want it to become huge overhead, huge payroll, and staff has been obviously an issue, as we all know, finding good, reliable staff. I'm not going to lie.
What, there's no staff out there?
Yeah. So hence the idea of moving towards more the meals to go. And the response so far has been really good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you do, sorry that I haven't seen the menu or how you do it, but do you have like a niche or a sort of an overview? Like, do you have a direction that you go in with those foods?
I mean, it's a little bit, I don't want to say all over the place, but from my background, like I have a lot of influence from all sorts of, I worked in Europe and I worked in Vancouver. Has a huge Asian influence there.
Yeah.
So I don't have a niche for say like no vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free like specific. Most of the items are meat-based or fish-based. Obviously try to source locally.
Right.
And the offerings are anywhere between 3 to 5 main courses, a dessert and a starter, like usually a soup. And very well designed to make your life at home easier, basically. Skip the dishes, fantastic. Skip the cooking. Like I know there are those kits where you get the food and you have to like basically do it from scratch.
Right.
This is like ready to go, either in a backpack bag or in a container to reheat. And so there's no cooking aside from reheating.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I'm really happy with that.
Make sure before the episode ends that we get your contact info out there before.
For sure.
So people that are, now that you've tantalized people, we can send them
How
your
do
way.
I get that?
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the items that you're doing. You're talking about soups for sure, but what other
obviously a
treats?
lot of it, like in line with the season. So butternut squash, parsnip and apple, that kind of stuff at this time. But also some really hearty soup like Italian weddings or more like meal soup, like a nice chowder or something like that. Those are the soups. As for like main course, we go anywhere from a nice, again, like meal salad. For example, this Friday I have like a sushi salad with some salmon and your seasoned rice and avocado, cucumber, nice and healthy.
Nice.
And then some more stews and things that really essentially, as we know as chef, like will hold well in a bag and are what I want to call sort of fail-proof. So
Right.
beef bourguignon, coq au vin, that kind of stuff. And a lot of ethnic food as well. Excuse me.
I have to laugh. I'm going to reveal something here. I have a small business that's catering business, small catering business. And I've started to pick up some of the equipment and such to do in line with what you're talking about. And it's funny because John wrote up a quick menu for me the other day. Table beef bourguignon, coq au vin. I like it so funny. He's like, try these. He's like, these are the ones that people aren't gonna, they're gonna be able to do just so easily at home or reheat easily at home. But anyways, it was just an exploration. But it's so funny that it's right in line with what you're talking about. That's great.
There's no mess around with a good old saucy dish, you know?
Yeah.
And curries, obviously, that always go well with that.
Yeah.
And I always tried to pair it with a starch, curries with a rice, or I did chicken tagine with couscous, and
nice.
I make like naan bread,
Yeah.
all sorts of things. Yeah, and desserts. I mean, I'm a chef. I'm not a pastry chef.
Right.
I like to think that I make cook's dessert or chef's dessert.
Yeah.
Apple turnovers and chocolate mousse, that kind
that's
of
fantastic.
stuff. Yeah.
Do you mind if we step back a bit? You mentioned that you were inspired because you've got all this education from Europe and I was looking through your resume. John showed it to me just before you arrived, and you've got quite the pedigree. You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think I said I was doubting my own resume when I looked at it.
It's not one that I can send anymore. It's too long now. It's like, how do I edit this,
So like maybe you can walk us through a bit of your history, like what took you from place to place.
I want to know what got you into the food industry to begin with. How's that?
Yeah, well, cooking school, back in the early 2000s, and that was in Montreal. I'm from Quebec, if you didn't know yet. And 2000, in the early 2000, 3 years of cooking school. Always really loved cooking. Started a little bit more baking, grandma, mother, cookies and baked goods. And then I wanted to polish my English. So off to Vancouver for what I intended to be 1 year, turned into 5.
It happens.
Worked at West Restaurant in Vancouver back in the days, unfortunately closed now, with Chef David Hawksworth, a celebrity chef in Vancouver.
Yes.
Right.
Turned into a total mentor for me, and really took me with him, and I ended up staying for 5 years at West. So that was a really, really good learning curve.
Wow.
And then off to Europe, obviously the mecca of cooking, France, and speaking French, making it that much easier.
Yeah.
I could
So
imagine
off
that.
I went, 2 years in Paris and 1 year in Nice in the south, which also was amazing learning curve. Definitely a good mentality, like different mentality, and definitely strengthened my, I knew by then that I was going to be doing that I was capable of it.
Yeah.
Michelin star restaurant, and
we
know the drill, like really demanding physically and mentally. So really good experience. And then back to BC, did some lodges up at the West Coast Fishing Club in the Haida Gwaii, seasonal work, summer, winter for heli ski lodges, which was really fun too.
Wow.
Kind of the lodge life environment.
Yes.
Really liked that. And then I was back to Vancouver working with David. Couple of stints in between. I'm not going to really, it'll take the whole episode. But back to Vancouver after that with David Hawksworth. And I did the writing of his cookbook.
Oh, wow.
That was a really kind of life-changing, it was a challenge that I was really proud of. And he put me in charge of his partnership with Air Canada. So I was doing menu development for Air Canada for business class. So a bit all over the place.
Wow.
Very broad experience.
Can we say a well-seasoned chef?
Yeah, well-seasoned, definitely. Lots of spices, for sure.
So
back here.
What had you land in BC? Like what drew you to BC as being the place, or is this just for now?
No. This is a thing that's been ongoing for 20 years now. There's no going back. Like I said, I was coming for 1 year, the good old Quebecois, like, yeah, I'm going to go and spend 1 year and, my English will be great.
Right.
And 1 year turned into 5 and then Europe and then back to there was no going back to, I did go back to Montreal for about 6 months and I was like, no,
Really?
BC is
fantastic.
my province. It's also the outdoors and what it brings, and I'm not super big on winter, so that was I like the winters here, don't get me wrong.
No, absolutely.
But
I guess if
not
there's any place in Canada to be where you don't like winter, it's BC.
minus 30 I can live without.
I can't do that. We hit minus 10 this year, and I was like, no, I'm moving.
Exactly. So
how do I get to Mexico?
So BC, and now more specifically the Comox Valley.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So what brought you to the island here and to the Comox Valley?
Well, I have a few friends that live here, so I would come for a visit every now and then, and really close friends. And during COVID, I didn't work for a little time, quite some time actually, and so that allowed me to spend like a full-on 3 months here nonstop, like back in 2020 March. And so by then I knew that was something that I was really inclined to make the move, but that kind of reassured my spending 3 months nonstop here. I was like, okay, that's it, now I need to take advantage of this pandemic to start a business.
Right.
That was always on the back of my mind. Never so much a restaurant. I just feel like it's risky, and there was a lot of challenges coming with a restaurant.
Let me tell you about that.
But then I saw the little caboose that was sitting on the side of Old Island Highway. That was the B Java in Black Creek. Like it was a red caboose that was sitting there for forever and ever.
Right.
Wasn't even on wheels. So make her an offer and took the thing, and that was a full-on gutting project. Like really but very fun and learning curve again. So took it, changed it all, like make it all nice. And started with the originally starting only with the food trailer, but now I have access to a nice commercial kitchen.
Oh, nice.
On Fitzgerald. So hence
you moved into a good friend of ours.
Kathy Jarrett. Exactly. So I feel really lucky to have found her, and I feel really blessed that I have this kitchen to work out of, because now I realize that the food trailer was it still is a great venture, but to do, as you may know, to do all the prep out of there and the storage and whatnot, like, it's ridiculous.
So, when you said that you bought the food trailer and gutted it, I remember being in the exact same situation when I was looking for a food trailer, and I kept looking at them, and everybody, they were going for quite a pretty penny for something that I was going to ultimately gut. So I made mine. I was like, I'll just do mine from scratch. And oh God, I wish I'd gone the other route.
Yeah.
But so what do you sell? If you don't mind me asking, do you sell out of your food trailer, do you sell the same that you're doing for the at-home meals, or is it a different menu?
Well, you actually kind of nailed it. I don't do that yet, but that's kind of where I'm heading. So this summer, I haven't decided quite yet where I'm going to set up. Last summer, I was at 40 Knots Winery. They really welcomed me like with open arms.
They're amazing.
They have
people.
Wine Wednesday every Wednesday, and they needed someone to be there and sell the food. They don't have a kitchen or a restaurant. So that was great. That being said, I'm still unsure as to what's, again, because my business is evolving, and I want to keep an open mind with what works and what doesn't, not just for others but for myself, like I said. So I want to stay true to what I want to do. And so this summer I'm actually wanting to combine the meals to go with some fresh offering on the spot that you can come and grab. But it's like, hey, have your lunch, and while you're at it, have something that you can have for dinner. So
that's smart.
I can kind of see how that would go hand in hand.
No, that's really smart.
That's a great idea. You're like, oh, this tastes really good. Wonder what I'm having for dinner.
There you go. Another dish. Different. Completely different.
I'd have to say that would be really good for travelers, because travelers always they're out and about, and they hit the town, and they're like, I know, just because I do for my other business, I do a lot of traveling, and maybe it's just because I'm food oriented, but I'll find a great meal for, say, breakfast or lunch, and then I'm like, ugh, Now I got to start doing the work on where to go for dinner. But like, if I had a one-stop shop where it's like, oh, I'll just pick up that and I can take that with me and take that. Oh, perfect. I'm set. You know, like to me, that's a great combo as a traveler.
Yeah,
So,
I see a fit too with like the whole outdoorsy aspect of the valley. You know, I've had people telling me, "Oh, I was up in the mountain yesterday, and there I am having my super nice lunch, and my buddy has a PB&J, and he's like, where the hell did you get that?" You know.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
it's you know, it really works with the valley.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Perfect. Well, let's take a quick little break, and we'll come right back.
Still here talking with Chef Stephanie.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got tongue-tied on that one.
I know. I was like, I don't know which way I want to go with that.
Cheffanie works.
Okay.
Been called that forever and ever. So.
Okay.
We were
Perfect.
like, I was like, I wonder where she got the name from.
Well, maybe something we can talk about. Circa early 2000. Again, like we talked about West, and that was one of the most like beneficial, really good learning experience. Great team back then.
Yeah.
And one guy, all of a sudden, one day it just came up, Cheffanie, and and then I earned a title since, and it's
awesome.
been like well over 20 years, and so I could not call the business that
Right,
that
yeah.
name. I was like, it makes sense. My friends even call me Cheffanie.
Oh, really?
Cheffanie in the house. Or Cheffanie's are cooking, and it just has become this not running gag, but it's just fun and playful.
Well, you talk about Wes. What's it like working under such a high caliber chef, and what's it like? How is that different from the other experience?
Yeah, I mean, you're fresh out of school, so it's a bit terrifying and scary. He would always be a very good teacher and mentor, like I said before. Definitely something very rewarding to be working for someone like that.
I can imagine.
Under David Hawksworth, a great reputation. And so we all know that, fine dining, as it is, was very difficult, but again, like really makes you what you think, like forms you as like forms your mentality and physically make you ready and fit for that world that we know is not the easiest.
Yeah, it's the most difficult way of cooking, I think, when you fine dining, when you've got to be that much more precise and put a little bit more care into it. And
Right, there's that expectation.
the little extra expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also that avenue to be creative, right? So
And ingredient forward, I'm really into, I do a lot of, I actually do mushroom foraging quite a bit. And I love
foraging.
all the sea products, seaweed, and working at the West Coast Fishing Club. Access to some of the best, if not the best fish in the world. So it's like when you have those ingredients, it's that much more inspiring to create some dishes
Absolutely.
with that.
well, that's what inspires you in the kitchen? Is it just those fresh ingredients?
Yeah, it's everything that surrounds me. I think that you go out there and, I have a different outlook of a look at what I can see, what I can eat. It's like like we said in the beginning, we think as chefs and we see everything. It's all food. So I go out in the wood. I want to find some mushroom. I go out fishing. I want to fish my own. I want to put my crab trap out. I want to take the kayak out and try and find a fish. And really, inspiration comes from my daily activities, really.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I find that too. Just getting out into the woods or onto the ocean and stuff like that just gives you those extra inspirations when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
You come back in the kitchen and you're like, okay, I know what I'm going to do, or how about we try this?
Yeah.
People are like, oh, it looks beautiful out there, that seaweed kelp going by. And I'm like, oh,
Let's walk on it.
how can I make a chutney out of that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Turn it into bread, butter, whatever. Yeah, it all works.
So then to that end, we're maybe not culinarily speaking, maybe that's not a great segue, but where do you see things going in the future? What's like the near future, maybe not so far future?
Well, the Comox Valley, definitely a place where I want to be. Vancouver before that, but I was just, the pandemic got into it. It's not that I don't like being in Vancouver, or, you know, the going out, eating out, the concerts, the sports events, that all just got out the window. And so I want to go back to obviously I'm going to go back to Vancouver, but I want to make it so that becomes my weekend getaway, as opposed to what I did before, coming to the valley as my weekend getaway. I'm a lot more of a small town, and so joining this community really has been, it's just been really, I feel the love from people. I feel like I get the feedback. I just love talking to people. You know, they come to my house, they pick up something, like, oh my God, this is so good. And we come back next week and you get to know people by their name. I love that feeling of community and just being part of it.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
well,
so
I'm glad that you're having a good experience with being part of the valley.
Yeah, well, that's what I enjoy about this valley, is I think people forget how food educated people are here and how much they love their food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's always, it doesn't matter what avenue you come from in this community. It seems like everyone knows what good food tastes like.
I definitely see the potential, and that's where I see fit. So that's that for now, and hopefully for many, many, many years to come.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
How can everybody get their hands on your food?
Yeah, so I have a website, www.cheffanie.ca.
Okay.
And people can reach me. So on the website, you can sign up for a newsletter.
Okay.
And when you sign up for the newsletter, your email address gets onto our contact list, and so it gets added to the weekly menu that I send every week. And people can order via email, or they can phone me, or they can send an email through the newsletter. And so far, it's been a lot of returning customer. I'm very thankful for that. Thank you, returning customers, for supporting local small business.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping to grow that list of contact, really. And I'm also working on an online form where people will be able to online directly from the website, but order directly from the website.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not set up yet, but again, work in progress. Yeah. One thing at a time. I've only been in business since May of last year, so I feel like it's already, I'm learning a lot. That's how people can reach me. Email address on there, on the website, all the information. Phone number and pick up place and.
I'm just actually going to ask, is this your first business on your own?
Yes, first venture. Yeah.
First venture?
Yeah. I've been part of other people's restaurant opening, first day, and the excitement for a restaurant. But first business venture. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, what's the difference, do you feel? Being your own boss and being someone else's?
Well, you wear all hats, really. It's like, before it's like you're the chef and you cook, and sure, it comes with other responsibilities, but this time it's like advertising on your own and the contact with the clients and the email and whatnot.
That's right.
But it also comes with a very rewarding side of, the returning a customer and everything that comes with, and being your own boss, making your own schedule, deciding, today it looks great out there, maybe I should go up on the mountain.
I'll push prep back to tonight.
So that's been definitely life changing, as we know, because long hours in the kitchen, long difficult schedule, and so all that. So it's been really good.
Pretty cool. Yeah. I was going to ask you, have you had any difficulties that you found with setting up the business?
Well, I guess I could go back to that, like being sort of like the one-woman show and having to handle everything and learning a lot of things that I don't have knowledge about, such as like, point of sale system and everything that's more like tech related, like handling payment and all that. Setting up the website. I didn't set it up myself. I had someone, but you have to rely on other people for things that you don't know how to do yourself.
Right.
So these were some of the challenges. And I mean, the pandemic, it's been up and down for everybody. There are some advantages to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Challenges from, sourcing some ingredients, but that's minor details I find, like you just, because I feel I have so much flexibility to what I want to cook. So it's like, I can't can't get lamb today, well, I'm just gonna do pork or something. You know, it's like I can switch and change as I go. So adapt, really.
Well, that's great.
Few challenges, but nothing really too chaotic. No. So far. Knock on wood. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so I guess the last thing, the food cart, where can people find that? Or will they be able to find that this summer?
Yeah, so again, not quite 100% sure. Thinking about the food truck congregation at Lewis Park or here in Courtney. Yeah, so a nice place. I did look into the marina, probably not a go. So yeah, as of now, it's in my backyard, the backyard table. I actually, that's funny you should say that, because I do a few small events in the backyard as well in the summer. We didn't talk about that, but when people go out fishing charter, I cook their catch, so they have the possibility to get in touch with me, go fishing, and I go pick up the fish from the dock and come in my backyard and enjoy like a 3-course meal, bring your own wine type thing.
That must have come from working in lodges.
Must have come, So again, I don't want to get carried away. Yeah. That's just another thing. And the trailer, I think that I want to, like I said, be part of that community, and I feel like that's a great fit to join the others. And there's room there. So not 100% confirmed, but definitely working towards that.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
And congratulations on what you've achieved so far. And
thank you.
Good luck on everything that's coming up. So
thank you, and thanks for having me.
Well, I was just excited to finally meet you, because I've heard so much about you. Because my lovely pastry chef and you are quite good friends, and she's always talking. And I've heard about your whole journey coming up to building it. She's sort of always led on stories, and
been a long time coming. Yeah. Well, there you have it.
And I know Chef Renaud wanted to tell you that he had your what was it?
Croton.
Yes. And he said it was absolutely to die for. So
right.
He said it was very nice.
So happy.
So that is chef approved there.
Perfect. Well, if Chef Renaud approved, then we're all good. We're good to go.
All right. Well, thank you, Cheffanie.
Thank you.
Stephanie. And thanks, John, and thanks to the listeners for listening. This has been episode 202 of the Edible Valley podcast.
All right. Thanks for listening.
And that wraps up another episode of the Edible Valley podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and a special thanks goes to the local businesses that help support our podcast. They make it possible for us to showcase your local food community. We'd love you to follow us on your preferred social media at Edible Valley, where you can check out our blog, find recipes and tips, behind the scenes, and of course keep a lookout for where we are going to turn up next in your Edible Valley.
And that's where we do a commercial break. So
I just follow your lead. So.
Okay.
All good.
There it is.
Sounds
okay.
Great.
So we're in episode. This is 202. Didn't you just do 202 the other day?
I did 201. You weren't part of it.
That's right. Okay.
And this has been an Edible Valley production.
Yeah. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Ready again?